Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, DeGeneres proudly brings to you the hardcore conspiracy champion of the world. Your friend of mine, your friendly neighborhood ogre. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, as always, thanks for tuning into the Ogarstyle channel. I really appreciate your time and your patience with me. That being said, we're going to move right on to a little something that we're going to title Las Vegas Revisited. We're going to go over a few things. First thing is going to be Jesse Compost, the security guard. Also, we're going to talk about the dead woman. I'll explain further. We're going to talk about closed circuit camera footage lacking and my own casino experience. And then we're going to talk about the suspect's brothers. And we probably should start off with them because they're a very weird situation. And I got to tell you, this day is getting a little long in the tooth. This is like the 11th video I've recorded and am about to post today. So I'm starting to feel like Jerry Lewis at the end of the telethon on Labor Day. It's about time to loosen up the tie here because it's just been a long day. So that being said, let's start right there with the brothers. So we get one brother, the first brother we get to meet. I forget the brothers' names. They both have the last name Paddock, whatever the family's name is. So you have one brother, he comes on and he's just like incredulous. He's like, well, my brother could never, and he would never, and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, it's just, the fucking whole interview just seemed really weird and really incredulous. And I personally did not buy it. I know a lot of people that didn't buy it either. And then that brings us to the other brother who is, apparently was homeless and then ended up in a nursing home and then was busted in a child porn ring. That's kind of weird, kind of all of a sudden, or matter-of-factly. You know, did that brother receive a phone call from his brother who happened to maybe possibly be a patsy? Who fucking knows? There's all kinds of stuff out there. It's got all the hallmarks of the FBI terrorist attacks. You can actually YouTube search up there in your search bar on YouTube and look for Dan Rather World Trade Center 1993, and you'll see a story about how the FBI had cooked up the plot to blow up the building and had a guy that was willing to go through with it. Well, he kind of had an idea that something wasn't on the up and up, and for some reason he saved all of his recorded conversations, this and that, and actually took it to a lawyer for safekeeping in case anything ever happened to him. Well, that's why you have the story about how he thought that he was supposed to be trapping people into doing this with fake equipment. It turns out, obviously, they used real equipment, and then he was, became a suspect, and then that's when the lawyer released the information. Anyways, long story short, that's kind of possibly similar what may have happened here. The FBI may have tried to recruit this guy, or there are some stuff floating around on the internet about he was already involved with the FBI, running guns for him, and stuff like that, and that's probably why he had recording equipment in the room, just like the gentleman, or the guy, in the 93 bombing of the World Trade Center. So that's something to research on your own. But moving past that, there was a woman who was very certain, very positive, absolutely positive that there were multiple shooters, right? So here's the thing. After she made a huge uproar on Facebook, within weeks, her and her loved one were both found dead. Interesting circumstances? I doubt it. Obviously, there's more underneath this thing than meets the eye. I mean, how many times did they change the timeline? Even the media had to step back and be like, what the fuck is going on here? They keep changing the timeline. They say this about the security guard. They say that about the security guard. Then they change the time. And then apparently he was shot before, and then he was shot after, and then no, he was shot before, and so it's very, very, very nonsensical how the Las Vegas shooting did go down, and the information that we received out of it has all the earmarks of either an FBI operation or a false flag attack to be used as a gun grab. Because immediately people were talking about, gun control and this and that, because, gun control is going to save the world. If you don't have fucking guns in people's hands, apparently they're not going to stab anybody, or they're not going to hit each other with baseball bats, because we live in a civilized society. And with that being said, we're going to move right over to Jesse Compost. Jesse Compost is the security guard I briefly mentioned a moment ago. This guy's situation is very interesting. So they had a picture of him at a press conference. He was supposed to do a press conference, and then he was going to do 5 major interviews with like CNN, Fox News, and all that good stuff. And 5 minutes before the press conference, boom, disappears. Now, this is all easily researchable. All you have to do is go to your National Security Agency internet search engine. You probably know it better as Google. With that being said, he disappears for days. Then, a couple days later, here's what happens. A report comes out that he actually went to an urgent care center, so media is like, shit, we're going to call this people at the urgent care, and turns out when they called the urgent care center, they were like, no, we never had this patient at any of our locations, nor any records of it. And then a day or two later, he's on the Ellen DeGeneres show. Now, that's an interesting dichotomy alone. People are like, well, why would Ellen DeGeneres be involved? All I can say is that she has a contract with MGM Grand and actually has a Ellen DeGeneres themed jackpot slot machine in their hotels. So that kind of pieces together why they would bring the security guard back into the national spotlight on her show. Kind of weird, but whatever. So, that being said, Jesse Compost, that, like I said, was at a press conference just 5 days before. They had pictures of him at that press conference. Then when he shows up at Ellen DeGeneres, a lot of people are questioning whether that was the same guy, because he looks like, in a matter of like 4 or 5 days, whatever the time span was. I think it's 4 days, it could be 5, so if I'm mistaken, I apologize, but whatever. One of those 2 days, 4 or 5 is the right amount. It wasn't any longer than that. But anyways, he did look like he put on about 40 pounds in that period, which is just, it's not possible. I don't know if it is possible, and he went to an urgent care. Why would he be eating that much if he were feeling ill enough to go to an urgent care? Does that make sense? Of course it does. Well, of course it doesn't, but you know what I mean. And with that being said, it's just a very tangled situation. Then we have the shooter himself. So the only picture we have of him is that one where he's all fucking drunk holding a shot with his eyes kind of half closed, like he's on an opioid of some sort. And the funny thing is that in Vegas, you can't tell me that, first off, they didn't have a camera in the lobby of the hotel itself. All right, they didn't have a camera in the elevators. They didn't have a camera in the hallway. They didn't have a camera in the casino that picked him up at least once to use as proof that he was there, that he did do this, that he was a part of this happening. So the funny thing is, my own personal experience with casinos, and I really don't go to them very often. It must have been like 7 or 8 years that I went to one with a friend of mine who ended up moving to Colorado. She had took me, and I got my, free $10 or $15 to gamble because it was my first time there, blah, 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 rah, rah, rah. So, long story short, I didn't know that you're not supposed to tamper with the machines or anything, and I didn't realize this until afterwards, but I had thought maybe I had a jackpot, and then I went down to grab, and turns out I didn't, but I put my hand down there without a jackpot happening, and the cameras up on the ceiling behind me had picked that up. And then within like 5 minutes, I've got this I don't know what they call them. They have a name for the casino people that come down onto the floor and observe things. Not necessarily security. God damn it! The name of the type of the person escapes me, the title. But either way, the guy just started eyeballing me, and I didn't really put two and two together until later in the day when I was like looking at the machine. Before we left, and it says, do not touch the stuff down here. And when I went to make that motion to, grab the jackpot, I thought I had surely won and had not. That triggered them because of a fucking camera in the fucking casino on the ceiling. So don't tell me fucking Big Brother ain't watching and Big Brother ain't got pictures or footage of fucking this guy. It's just absolutely ludicrous. There's so many things going on with that. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But those were a couple of things to look at. And, nobody's falling for it. I have a family member who isn't as conspiratorially minded as I am. And they asked me about Las Vegas. What do you think happened there? And I was going to give them like this canned statement. Well, there's more that meets the eye. We'll see what happens when it all comes out, was what I was going to say to them. Something to the effect of that. And before I had a chance, they go, I don't think he did it. The story is weird. The timeline's weird. They keep changing everything. And how can they not have footage of this guy in the fucking casino? Why are we only seeing this, social media picture of him all drunk and eyes half closed? Because they're trying to fucking make the patsy look bad. That's part of what they do with the sign of a false flag attack. That video is coming soon. So if you want to know more about that, give me another hour or two, depending on the speeds here, and we will definitely take a look at that. Thanks for tuning into the Ogarstyle channel as usual. Have a good one.